Have you ever heard of The Death of the Hired Man? It is also by Robert Frost. It's kind of a cool one. Here we go. Mary sat musing on the lamp flame at the table, waiting for Warren, when she heard his step. She ran on tiptoe down the darkened passage to meet him in the doorway with the news and put him on his guard. Silas is back. She pushed him outward with her through the door and shut it after her. "Be kind," she said. She took the market things from Warren's arms and set them on the porch, then drew him down to sit beside her on the wooden steps. "When was I ever anything but kind to him? But I'll not have the fellow back," he said. "I told him so last haying, didn't I? If he left then," I said, "that ended it. What good is he? Who else will harbor him at his age for the little he can do? What help is he? There's no depending on. Off he goes, always when I need him most. He thinks he ought to earn a little pay, enough at least to buy tobacco with, so he won't have to beg and be beholden. All right, I say. I can't afford to pay any fixed wages, though I wish I could. Someone else can. Then someone else will have to. I shouldn't mind his bettering himself if that was what it was. You can be certain, when he begins like that, there's someone at him, trying to coax him off with pocket money. In haying him, in haying time, when any help is scarce, in winter he comes back to us. I'm done." "Shh, not so loud. He'll hear you," Mary said. "I want him to. He'll have to, soon or late. He's worn out. He's asleep beside the stove. When I came up from rouse, I found him there, huddled against the barn door, fast asleep. A miserable sight, and frightening, too. You needn't smile. I didn't recognize him. I wasn't looking for him, and he isn't changed. Wait till you see." "Where did you say he'd been?" "He didn't say. I dragged him to the house and gave him tea, tried to make him smoke. I tried to make him talk about his travels. Nothing would do. He just kept nodding off." "What did he say? Did he say anything?" "But little." "Anything, Mary. Confess. He said he'd come to ditch the meadow for me." "Warren!" "But didn't he? I just want to know." "Of course he did. What would you have him say? Surely you wouldn't grudge the poor man. Surely you wouldn't grudge the poor old man some humble way to save his respect." He added, if you really cared to know. He meant to clear the upper pasture, too. "That sounds like something you've heard before. Warren, I wish you could have heard the way he jumbled everything. I stopped to look 2 or 3 times. He made me feel so queer. To see if he was talking in his sleep. He ran on Harold Wilson, you remember, the boy you had in haying 4 years since. He finished school and teaching in his college. Silas declares you'll have to get him back. He says they two will make a team for work. Between them, they will lay this farm as smooth. The way he mixed that in with other things, he thinks young Wilson a likely lad, though daft on education. You know how they fought all through July under the blazing sun, Silas up on the cart to build the load, Harold along beside to pitch it on. Yes, I took care to keep well out of earshot. Well, those days trouble Silas like a dream. You wouldn't think they would. How some things linger. Harold's young college boy's assurances piqued him. After so many years, he still keeps finding good arguments. He sees you might have used. I sympathize. I know just how it feels to think of the right thing to say too late. Harold's association in his mind with Latin. He asked me what I thought of Harold's saying he studied Latin like a violin because he liked it. That's an argument. He said he couldn't make the boy believe. He said he could find water with a hazel prong, which showed how much good schooling had ever done him. He wanted to go over that, but most of all, He thinks if he could have another chance to teach him how to build a load of hay. I know that's Silas' one accomplishment. He bundles everything full in his place, and tags and numbers it for future references, so he can find and easily dislodge it in the unloading. Silas does that well. He takes it out in bunches like a big bird's nest. You never see him standing on the hay. He's trying to lift it, straining to lift himself. He thinks if he could teach him that, he'd be some good, perhaps, to someone in the world. He hates to see a boy the fools of books. Poor Silas. So concerned for other folk, and nothing to look backward to with pride, and nothing to look forward to with hope, so now and never any different. Part of the moon was falling down the west, dragging the whole sky with it into the hills. Its light poured softly in her lap. She saw it and spread her apron to it. She put out her hands among the harp like morning glory strings, taut with the dew from gardening bed to eaves, as if she played unheard some tenderness that wrought on him beside her in the night. Warren, she said, he has come home to die. You needn't be afraid he'll leave you this time. Home, he mocked gently. Yes. What else but home? It all depends on what you mean by home. Of course, he's nothing to us anymore. Then he was the hound that came and a stranger to us out of the woods, worn out upon the trail. Home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in. I should have called it something you somehow haven't to deserve. Warren leaned out and took a step or two, picked up a little stick and brought it back, and broke it in his hand and tossed it by. Silas has better claim on us, you think, than his brother. 13 little miles, as the road winds, would bring him to his door. Silas has walked that far, no doubt, today. Why didn't he go there? His brother's rich, a somebody, director in the bank. He never told us that. We know it, though. I think his brother ought to help, of course. I'll see to it that he does if there is need. He ought of right to take him in, and might be willing to. He may be better than appearances, but have some pity on Silas. Do you think, if he'd had any pride in claiming kin, or anything he looked for from his brother, he'd keep so still about him all the time? I wonder what's between them. I can tell you. Silas is what he is. We wouldn't mind him, but just the kind of kinsfolk can't abide. He never did anything so very bad. He don't know why he isn't quite as good as anyone. Worthless though he is, he won't be made ashamed to please his brother. I can't think I ever hurt anyone. No. But he hurt my heart the way he lay, and rolled his old head on that sharp-edged chair back. He wouldn't let me put him on the lounge. He must go in and see what you can do. I made the bed up for him there tonight. You'll be surprised at him, how much he's broken. His working days are done, I'm sure of it. I'd not be in a hurry to say that. I haven't been. Go. Look for yourself. But Warren, please remember how it is. He's come to help you ditch the meadow. He has a plan. You mustn't laugh at him. He may not speak of it, and then he may. I'll sit and see if that small sailing cloud will hit or miss the moon. It hit the moon. Then there were 3, making a dim row. The moon, the little silver cloud, and she. Warren returned, too soon it seemed to her, slipped to her side, caught up her hand and waited. Warren, she questioned. Dead. Dead was all he answered.